All right, so after watching that video, okay, your teachers probably in the past have said something like alligator mouths eat the bigger, or Pac-Man mouths eat the greater amount. So that's all that's telling you about. All right, so let's look here. Write an inequality for each of the following. A number n is no more than 30. Oh, and actually I forgot. Hold on, before I do that, I forgot to talk about this one. Okay, so on the same slide as the video, you have all of these symbols right here. You have your less than. This one, I'm not sure how much you've been exposed to with the line underneath it. Have you guys seen that one? Yeah? Okay, good. This is less than or equal to. This one is greater than or equal to. And I'm pretty sure, I know I've shown you this one. Not equal to is equal with the line through it. Okay, so now let's go back over to here. A number n is no more than 30. Okay? So if I would write an inequality, does anyone know what the inequality would be for that one? Catherine?
N is less than or equal to 30.
So you want it to look like that, less than or equal to 30?
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you guys think? N is no more than 30. So can you be exactly 30? Yes. Or no more. So that would be, so it's eating the 30, which means that's the biggest. N has to be everything smaller than that. So it's like saying, if you can be no more than 30 and be cool. So that's what you have to be younger than 30 to be cool. All right, number 2. A number n is at most 20. What would that inequality look like? Samantha. The same thing? Is at most 20. Is at most. Good. And at most means it's 20. If I say something costs at most $20, that's like, okay, I know it's $20 or it's less than that. Catherine.
N is less than 40.
N is less than 40. You will go to school fewer than 40 hours this week. So it's just N is less than 40. It cannot be equal to 40. It says you're going to go less than 40 hours. Okay, and the last one. N is a legal speed to travel in a 25 mile per hour zone. Eric? Good, because it's okay for you to go exactly 25. That's
Yeah, but you can't go like 10 miles under the speed limit.
Well, there's sometimes that there'll be a
You can,
sign that says, like, I've seen them in Kansas where they say minimum, but technically they're probably not going to give you a ticket if you're going under 25 unless you're, like, stopping at traffic. So, you have seen one in Missouri? Cool. I haven't seen those, but I don't go anywhere anymore. All right, next slide. What?
School is life.
Oh, I just don't. Well, no, yeah, I stay here. I did. One year I told the kids, not in this building, but when I was in another building, that opened up into a fold-out bed. I was like, yeah, I never leave. My bed's there. And at that time, we had like the TV mounted in the back corner. And I'm like, yeah, I have everything I need. And they like really believed me. It's like, no, I don't live here. My goodness. All right. So number 5, the cost for internet starts at $30 per month. What would that look like? The cost for internet starts at $30 per month.
So 30 or more. N is greater than or equal to.
Okay, would it be equal to or just the greater than?
Oh, no,
Just
yeah,
asking.
equal to.
Equal to, because it starts at 30, so that's probably their lowest bottom package. All right. You walked more than 3 miles yesterday. What would that one be?
N is greater than 3.
All right, that would not have the equal sign because it says you walked more than 3 miles. All right, last one. You must be at least 16 years old to get a driver's license.
N is greater than or equal to 16. Yeah.
Yeah, because now you guys have a lot of rules now that we didn't have a long time ago. But you can get it when you're exactly 16 if you got your permit at exactly 15 and a half and you've done your 6 months, right? That's the new rule. You have to do your 6 months first before you can get what? You didn't know that? Yeah, that's the new rule. It's 15. You have to have 6 months of driving before you can apply for your license. Which means when you turn 15 and a half is when you gotta get your 6 months in if you want to exactly travel.
How do they know when you start?
Well, it's whenever you apply. Like you apply, you get your permit, and then that's got a date on it.
Can you get your permit in Kansas?
No.
Well, if you have a house there.
You have a house there. Yes. Do you have a house there, Catherine?
No.
No, I think so. Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, so let's get into solving and graphing. Okay, so the next part of this is going to work the exact same way as if it was an equal sign. So this is the same as the warm-up. You're going to draw your line, and you're going to add 3 to both sides. Nothing's going to change right now. Except right now. So obviously something will change here in a little bit, but not today. All right, so we solve it.
Oh,
What?
It says greater than.
It says greater than, yes. Then -3. All right, so if I say something is greater than -3, does that mean it can be exactly -3?
No.
No, it cannot be exactly -3 like the ones we were just talking about. So when you go to graph it, you have to use what's called an open circle on the -3 because that's saying it doesn't actually include -3. But we should all agree that there are infinite amount of numbers greater than -3, right? Because the number greater than -3 would be
Negative 3.1.
no, okay.
Negative 1.
-2. Yes, and -2. Because remember, as we get closer to zeros, negatives actually get bigger, right? No, that would be smaller. That would, no. Oh, you need positive. Oh, look at Katie. She meant 3.1 over here. Yes, that would be bigger.
Ooh.
So
Sneaky.
what you're going to do is you're going to shade this because you are visually showing that these are all of the solutions to that problem. Okay? And we will build on this next year. Next year, we will look at 2 variables, an x and a y, and then we will shade it on a 4-quadrant graph. Or right now, we're just shading on number lines. So we're definitely going to do more with this. Okay, and that's how you would graph that. All right, let's look at number 2. Number 2, we would subtract 5 from both sides. So we get x is less than 2. Okay. Again, it doesn't equal 2. It has to be smaller than 2. So we're going to use an open circle at 2. And which way am I going to shade this? To the left. Because if he's eating the 2 starburst, he does not want 1 or any of the negatives. He wants everything this direction. Okay, questions on that before I keep going? All right, next slide. All right, this has a greater than or equal to. How do you think that's going to change our graph?
Fill it in.
You're going to fill it in. So this time I'm going to add 4. Add 4. X is greater than or equal to -1. And I'm going to have a filled in circle on -1. Because it actually includes that one this time. Okay, and now I want everything greater, so I'm going to shade to the left or to the right? To the right. Everything to the right gets shaded. Alright, so the next one, subtract 4, x is less than or equal to 5. Open circle or closed circle? Closed circle, because it can actually equal 5. And then am I going to change to the right or to the left? If I want everything smaller than 5, I'm going to shade towards those negatives, right? Because negatives are smaller than positives. So I'm going to shade everything going this direction. Okay, what's different about the next one than the ones we've been doing so far? It's the other way. And we usually don't like that because we always, for some reason, always want that x on the other side. But you're going to still go about solving this the same way. So I'm going to draw my line, subtract 3 from both sides. So I get x, I get my less than sign, and 6. And in that silly Smoogle video, remember when he's like, and you can switch in the other direction. And he went switch, switch. Okay, so this is the same thing, but the mouth has to open towards the x, and then you put your 6. So those two are mean the exact same thing. Okay? All right, so then open circle or closed circle?
Open.
Open circle because it doesn't actually include 6. And then do I shade to the right or to the left? Correct, so I want things bigger than 6, Things bigger than 6 would be 7, 8, 9, 10. Some shading to the right. All right, now I'm going through this pretty quick because you guys seem to be catching on pretty quick. Does all of that feel okay? Am I rushing it too much? No? Okay. All right, next slide. Let's look at, okay, word problems on this one. All right. So this one says an airline restricts checked baggage to 80 pounds per person, which, by the way, isn't true anymore. Do you know how much? It's 50, so we could change it if we wanted. You pack one 42-pound bag. How much can your second bag weigh? Write and solve an inequality. So what have I always taught you to start with? The total. So the total here is 80. So what I do when I work these, because sometimes I just need to see it, I write it like that, and then I decide. Is the mouth going to be opening towards this side, or is the mouth open towards the 80?
The other side.
You want this side to be more than 80?
No, oh no.
No, you want 80 to be the greatest amount, right, that you can take? Okay, so then I decide, do I have the equal sign underneath it? Why is that okay in this situation? Because you can have exactly 80. If you've ever flown with your parents recently, like we get out our scale, and we like weigh it because you can only have 50 pounds because if you have more than that, you have to pay. So we're always like shifting clothes around and making sure it's exactly that weight. Okay, how am I going to get the other side then? Because we want this side to also represent 80. What's that side going to be, Eric? Yes, 42 plus our unknown must be smaller than or equal to 80 is basically what we just did. And that would be our inequality. Okay, another one that's good to use for inequalities. At school, the maximum number of students that can be in a classroom is 26. If there are 16 students signed up for an art class, how many more students can join the class? Catherine?
Wait, no, I have a question about what I did like before. Before you did that, I did 80 minus 40, or x is less than, can be less than or equal to 80 minus 42.
But then you're solving it. Right? Because isn't the next step from this is to subtract 42 from both sides?
Yeah.
So you want to set up your original problem, and then from there you would subtract 42 from both sides. All right, so what do we always start with? Total, and our total is 26. Okay, so then I say, which sign do I want? So if I have, this is a classroom, do I want this number to be greater than 26 or smaller than 26? Smaller, the maximum amount I want is 26. Then I decide, can I have a line underneath it? Is it okay in this situation to have exactly 26 students? Yes. This would be like an elementary classroom. Okay, and then how am I going to get this side to equal 26?
16 minus
Minus x?
plus.
Plus x, right? Because you can have 16 plus, they could add 1 student, 2 students, 3 students, all the way up to 10 students, right? Before it's equal. So that would be your equation. And if you're saying, well, when would I ever use this? This is dumb. So let's say that you're trying to put a bunch of information into an Excel spreadsheet. You can put in all of these formulas, and then you can type in numbers, and it will do all the math for you. But you have to know how to set up the equations to put in there. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Let's look at the next one. All right. So I have some practice, and I'm going to have you work those two. This is just all the information that we just talked about. So it's like if you or parents need to go back and look at it, I'd put that slide in. What I want you guys to do now is work the practice slide right on your PowerPoint. Subtract 8 from both sides, so I would have x is greater than -9. So you have to have that part. And then we're going to come over and put an open circle on 9. And this says x is greater than -9, so you want everything shaded this direction. Is that good? All right, and then the next one, we would add 7 to both sides. So this would be 9 is greater than or equal to x. So we'd have to have this. And then we come over here to 9 and we fill in the circle this time. And that says 9 is greater than x. So if it's eating the 9, it doesn't want things like 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, all of these. We would shade this direction and shade in that. Okay, questions on any of that we learned today? Anything at all? Okay, we can go ahead and get started on your digits work.